Hello Freedom Seekers, Jeremy Chambers, Independence Acres Homestead. Coming to you today from our basement. That's right, the basement of our 120-year-old farmhouse here. I'm going to discuss something that's pretty dear to my heart, and that is long-term food storage. So if you've watched very many of our videos in the past, you know that we got our start as kind of a prepper. And slowly transitioned over time into the mentality of a homesteader. But there's some things that of the prepper mentality that still I kind of hold near and dear to my heart. One of those is long-term bulk food storage. Now, one of the most important things that you can do on your homestead, obviously besides providing for yourself by raising animals, gardening, other most important things that you can do, is to figure out a long-term food storage plan. Some people are going to ask, why do I need to think about long-term food storage? Well, I can tell you right now that it's never too early to start thinking about long-term food storage, but there will be a point in time where it could be too late. And you don't want to wait until it's too late. The main reason to think about long-term food storage isn't because you're worried about some cataclysmic event, but remember, the crap can hit the fan at any moment. And the end of the world as we know it is not an apocalypse now scenario. It could just be you've lost your job. We are in a shutdown because of a disease running rampant through the community. It could be an issue of you have a neighbor that's lost their job and you can now provide for them. Remember, that was the mentality. The prepper mentality is about me. The homestead mentality is more about my community. So now my long-term food storage isn't necessarily just for me and my family, but it's in order to provide in case we have a neighbor that is without a job, in order to provide for friends or family who may have found themselves without a job. I can hand them a bucket of rice, bucket of beans or whatever, and give them a little bit of food security. Food security isn't about always thinking about cataclysmic events. Sometimes it's just small hiccups in our life that can create a time where we're going to be dependent upon our long-term food storage. And for us, it doesn't just end here with these buckets. It's also going to be canned goods that are going to have a 6-month to 2-year shelf life, dehydrated or freeze-dried meats and veggies that are going to have up to a 20-year shelf life. These buckets here behind me are going to have a 10 to 15-year shelf life. We're going to start cycling through some of these now. We're hitting 2021, which is going to be that 10-year mark for most of the items here on our shelf. And when it comes to actually getting to the point of storing and maintaining your long-term food storage, this rack that I built has been very beneficial. Couldn't find a lot of information online, so I'm going to get a schematic drawn up for those. Check out the link below. If it's not up yet, we'll be getting it up in the next few days. It's going to take me some time to get this schematic drawn up so that you can build this rack out of I just had some scrap 2x4s from home renovation or outside renovation projects that we had. So we're just going to go over some of the basics of long-term food storage. Everything you see here behind me is bulk whole grains or sugar or salt. Everything that we bought here, well, all except for 2 buckets here, we packed ourselves. These are 6-gallon buckets. The reason why we chose 6-gallon buckets is because they can hold about 45 pounds of a whole grain, whether it's rice or beans or wheat, whole wheat or whole oats. We're able to store about 45 to 46 pounds of each of those in a 6-gallon bucket. And also it uses the same lids as a 5-gallon bucket. The lids that we use are Gamma lids. Let me show you what they look like here. Now the reason we chose the Gamma lid is, well, twofold. Number one, it's going to give us a nice watertight seal. It's got the rubber gasket on the part here that attaches to the bucket. But the main reason excuse me, I keep dropping things. All right. The main reason is because of the ease of access. Once we do open any of our buckets here on this shelf, we still want to be able to close them and seal them well as we're accessing the food that's in the bucket. So while it's here on our storage rack, I can actually open these right up and we can access the food. All of these buckets, they're labeled with what is in them. This is a hard red wheat along with how much weight is in there, and the date that we put these away. These have been in these buckets since 2011, and we also write how we preserve these. This is preserved with 3 oxygen absorbers. So these are 2,000 cc oxygen absorbers, and which is more than enough to remove the oxygen and create a nitrogen-rich environment, which is going to prevent any bugs from growing in there, mold, anything of that nature. So we found this is to be the most secure way. Like I said, we opened up one of our rice buckets January, February, March of this year, once we weren't able to buy the bulk rice at the membership warehouse that we are a part of. And it tasted just as fresh as the day that we put it away. We like jasmine rice in our long-term food storage because it takes a little less water than 100% white rice. It has a little better flavor, so if you eat it by itself, you know, it's not terrible. So let me just go over with some of the items that we have in our long-term storage here. We have a white wheat. We have 4 buckets, 4 buckets of hard red wheat. 2 of them we packaged ourselves, and 2 of them we did kind of cheat on, and we got them prepackaged from a company, Emergency Essentials. And this is a prepackaged hard red wheat. And we did order one of our food packaging kits from Emergency Essentials, which was the 6-gallon buckets, the Mylar bags and everything. But then we found it's a little easier to get some of those materials locally. And then we also do get some buckets from local bakeries. So there's a lot of different ways that you can acquire the buckets. Food grade buckets are also sold at Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards. Most of your big box hardware home improvement stores are going to have some form of a food grade bucket. So don't worry, there's plenty of places to get buckets. The lids might be a little harder to come by. We are able to find the Gamma lids at a local big box store. Also, you can get it on Amazon. There's just multiple different places, but there'll be a link below to Emergency Essentials where you can purchase the 5-gallon buckets. That's enough of my rambling on about the buckets and the storage down here. Let's go upstairs and I'll actually show you how we package up some of these buckets. Just like every other project on the homestead, it's important to make sure that you get all your supplies in order before you begin, because the last thing you want to be doing when it comes to storing food is scrambling around trying to find what you need at the last moment. So I've got my 90 pounds of jasmine rice here. We'll be doing 45 pounds in each bucket. I've got my 2 buckets here, 2 6-gallon buckets, along with the Gamma lid rings already installed, and the Gamma lids over here. Mylar bags ready to go. And the most important thing when it comes to food storage is making sure that you can seal it. So what I've got is my iron on over here, medium heat, a towel, and a piece of wood trim. So once we get all the food in the buckets, I'll show you how we're going to use this wood trim in order to seal everything up. So the process of getting these rice in the buckets, it's pretty simple. So I'm not going to belabor this too much. We just want to make sure that our Mylar bags are fully open, seated in the bottom of the bucket. And then at this point, we're just going to start pouring the rice in. I've got 2 different brands of jasmine rice. 2 20-pound bags of this Emerald River premium jasmine rice, and then 2 bags of this jasmine rice from the warehouse membership club that we are members of. So it's going to, like I said, it's going to be about 45 pounds in each bag. So we're going to get 2 buckets out of these. So there's one of the 20-pound bags in the bucket here, about halfway full. Make sure that you can get the bag down and close up the Gamma lid without it compromising the Mylar bag, because we don't want it rubbing on the Mylar bag and possibly putting any holes in it. So we're able to close that up without any problems. I'm going to slide this over to the side, and we're going to fill the second bag before we worry about installing our O2 absorbers, oxygen absorbers, and sealing them up. We want to make sure we get all of them filled, put oxygen absorbers in both of them, and then seal them all within just a few minutes. All right, now that we've got our 2 buckets packed, it's time to get them sealed. Now, what we've got here are some oxygen absorbers. These are from a larger pack that I had received. These are a 2000 cc. That is the volume of oxygen that it will be able to absorb. You can see they've got an O2 absorber in there, an O2 indicator, oxygen indicator in there. Anytime you're working with oxygen absorbers, you want to make sure that that indicator is still red. If that is blue, then you have a problem, and that means oxygen has gotten into your packaging, and these absorbers are not going to be able to do their job and perform their job properly. When it comes to the oxygen absorber, a little bit of overkill is better than not having enough oxygen removed. This is one of the most important components to make sure that your whatever you're storing in buckets does not get stale. So some people will do dry canning in the oven, in jars, and that is acceptable also. But for the but it's only going to have about a 5 to 8 year shelf life. This is going to give me 10 to 15 years of shelf life, possibly even up to 25, as long as the seals are not compromised. So when it comes to sealing these, what we're going to be using is just your typical iron, the clothing iron. You want to put it on medium high, dry. You don't want any moisture coming out of this. And we're going to be opening up the oxygen absorbers. We're going to put 2 into each bucket, and then we're going to get them sealed. Once these are open, they start working right away. So we want to get these in here quickly and have about a minute, minute and a half to get these sealed. All right, bags are ready. Get out my pocket knife. Open the oxygen absorbers. All right, and now the clock starts. We got about a minute or 2 minutes to get these sealed up. So 2 2000 cc oxygen absorbers in each bag here. We're just gonna recess them into the rice a little bit. Push out some of the air. And we'll go ahead and get these sealed pretty quickly. Iron is hot. Push the air out as much as possible. Towel board, and we're going to apply just a little bit of light pressure here along the entire length of the bag. All right, so bag number 2 is sealed. Now, it's going to take a day or 2 for the oxygen absorbers to do their job. And when you'll know that they're working right is you'll begin to see kind of a vacuum seal effect occur. And actually, on the first bucket that we did just a few minutes ago, we can already see that beginning to occur here. We've got some collapsing going on the edges here, and it's actually pulling the bag in. So once we know these are fully sealed, we're not going to put these in the basement until we know that the oxygen absorbers have fully done their job. But once they are fully sealed, we're going to go ahead, put the gamma lids on, and they'll go downstairs to the storage rack locker. Really appreciate you guys tuning in today. I want to encourage you, don't wait until it's too late to get some kind of food security in your home. Even if it's just heading out to the grocery store and spending a couple extra dollars on getting 30 days worth of fruits and vegetables canned, some canned meats, whether it's tuna, chicken, beef. Just make sure that you have some sort of food supply set aside in order to provide for your family and for your neighbors. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this helpful. And until next time, God bless.